everybody. Podcast for Luvthemknives. And we've got Eric Hansen, the badass motherfucker from FOBOS Knives, is coming in, and he's coming at you, man. He's made some knives, and you better get you one or else. And that's what I'm saying. Right there. Tier 1 coming at you, too. And he's a Viking, so this is why he makes crazy-ass cheese. But he makes crazy-ass knives. And this one's in MagnaCut.
Yeah.
MagnaCut, baby. But it's got a coating on it. But you don't need no stinking coating on a MagnaCut because it's like the Salt series for Spyderco and also the big Salt series for Benchmade. Because when they're heat-treated like this, they have very, very good corrosion resistance. But this one's tactical, baby. This one's non-reflective. Yeah.
That one
so you can get the job done. You know what I'm saying? Like this.
We got a handful of those in Israel right now with Israeli tier.
But my favorite, and I thank you for the plastic, the Kydex type sheet, but this one, the Alaris, maybe you could cook with it, or you can go and, or you can do whatever with it, right?
Right.
Yeah,
like you can make your own.
Be good in the kitchen.
Everybody loves that blade. I just, but I was, it was Vega was like, dude, he saw the design one day and he's like, bro, he's like, what the fuck is that? And I said, dude, that's kind of my version of what, a tactical camp knife, if you will, or just a camp knife should be.
Oh, yeah.
Just
nice belly to it. I mean, you could actually probably field dress a deer or something with it. I mean, it's kind of big.
Yeah, you can.
But it's not too big.
It's a 5-inch blade, 3V. Heat treated the way that I like to temper it.
Well, I had them all tested. Remember? I had them all tested, and they're all in the green zone. Yeah, they're all in the preferred zone.
I know.
But then again,
Lee was like, "Hey, I'm going to test your knives." I'm like, I don't care. He goes, "Okay, are you sure?" I said, "I don't care. Go ahead, man."
Cacula.
Yeah.
You don't have to be Dracula to own a Cacula, and that's the saying right there.
Yeah. So.
Speaking of Romania, I mean, I'm just saying. But how about which one is this? The mini or the mini? That's
I'm looking at the pommel, and that's the mini. The mini. That's the full size pommel, 4-inch blade, and the mini has a 3.5-inch blade with the shrunken pommel. But they have exactly the same handle. Like if you were to take your handles off your mini and your mini, you could literally put them back and forth. Like that's the
pommel, big pommel.
Yeah, big pommel, right. Now we put the full thickness scales on the mini, but I like the EDC scales the way they feel on the mini, right? Those cutout scales.
Yeah, this is fine. I mean, and you give yourself a little bit more weight loss on this too.
Yeah, the full thickness.
It definitely feels lighter.
Yeah. I like the full thickness scales on the mini itself. It wasn't like that's the way I planned it. Just kind of came out. It just happened. It just came out that way.
Yeah, but you can swap the scales because the scales are, the same. That's not a problem.
Into the Kydex. So your Gen 2 mini, your Gen 3 mini that you have there, and your mini plus the trainer will all fit in the same Kydex sheath.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't have Kydex
on the spine.
Leather.
Yeah.
I got the leather, I think, and your guy in the table next to you, right? And, was it Blade West, right? That's the first time I met you in person at Blade West.
Yep, at Blade West.
You go. Who's that old son of a bitch coming at me? And it's like, oh, that's Eric. It was me.
Hey, Eric, are you going to be there next week?
Say again?
Are you going to be at Blade West next week?
No. I think what we're going to do from now on is we're going to do Blade Atlanta. We're going to do the big show at the NRA. There's a bushcraft a big bushcraft show that like tactical riflemen go to, and some guys that I was in the army with, in the special war, in the SIF with, that go to that. But it's not official yet, so I don't want to say it.
Okay.
But it's looking like we're going to go to that one, and then maybe one or two other bushcraft shows. But to travel, maybe Blade, Texas, but to go out to Utah is really, it's a haul, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's a haul.
Yeah.
I mean, I
completely agree with you.
Say again, brother.
I completely agree with you. Yes.
Yeah, I did not enjoy myself that much at Blade West last year. And the downtown scene, it's active, but it's a bunch of woke little twerps running the places. And it was just like I was about ready to just forget about it. Just, I'm walking out, I'm done. I'm going to go out to the burbs where the real Mormons live.
I can't remember where we went to breakfast, but once we found a place, it's like, okay, we just stuck. We stuck with it. It's like,
oh,
okay.
yeah.
But no.
Now, and I don't know if you got any of your knives with you for this
what do you want to grab?
video.
I mean, do you want me to?
No, I've got them here, so that's okay. Here, let me hand it to you.
Well, tell us about that new one you got there, buddy.
Well, this is a custom regrind. It's an MKB9. The finish here, let me see if I can get you close. This is 100. It's bead blast, 150 grit, aluminum oxide, pure aluminum oxide, bead blasted, and it turned out really, really, really nice. I like it a lot. I've taken the ground the tip down. We've reground the bevel. It's not up yet. I'm going to put a secondary bevel on it. But that's going to one of the customers, David Welsh. I still have to etch it, send it up to Joe Dunn, who he does our laser work, up in Michigan, or our laser etching.
So you're using a bead blast on that?
This finish, that's 150.
It's a bead blast. Okay.
Correct.
Now, Eric could, and I'm sure Leon would have something to say in here too on that. You hear about some people say bead blast is a rough finish if you're in humid climates and things.
Well, okay, that's a good question. But if you oil it or wax it, I have found that, or at least it's been my experience, that that'll hold whatever penetrant you're trying to keep it in. So I think that's just me. Sandblasting, bead blast, same thing. I think it holds whether you're going to use WD-40, if you're going to use 10W5 or whatever, like they do over Bark River. I mean, they literally use motor oil, and it works great. I mean, if it's protect your oil at 250 degrees at 8,000 RPMs, why wouldn't it just be protecting your knife at nothing, at room temperature and no RPMs? So, I mean, it's not a bad philosophy. Somebody's like, motor oil. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude. It fucking works great. And so, or like wicked wax, like what we do, we send with every one of our knives is wicked wax. And we send a sample with the
wicked wax. That's right.
Wicked wax,
really good people.
Food safe.
Yeah, yes, it's food. It's food safe. So it's right now, it's the only product out there that's food safe that I think is worth a buck. We were looking at frog lube, but to go in there as well, wicked
wax right here, yeah,
wicked wax,
yeah.
But we really just didn't get a lot of good feedback from the customers. It's like, okay, so
you don't want that.
You know what I mean? And so it wasn't really a personal thing against frog lube because I think it's a good product. I mean, like Sean and some other guys use it. I've used it in Afghanistan, but just it's kind of gunky and got
it thumbs up. That was my problem with it. It got gummy.
But it just kind of depends. I mean, depends on what what you like. I mean, when people ask me, they're like, what I think about it, I think it's a good product. But the Wicked Wax is just the shit works, dude. I mean, I can't. It's not, and you can put it on heavier. You can leave it on. You can wipe it off. It's food safe. You don't kind of worry about it. It doesn't. It's not an attractant. Like you can put a coat on, and then wipe it off, and it's still there. You know what I mean? It's still on the knife, but yet it's not gonna. A bunch of gunk is not gonna get coated to it. You can use it on your wood. You can use it on your epoxy scales. Whether that's micarta or G10, it doesn't matter the steel. It doesn't just it's just really a really good product. I mean, I know there's a couple of Wicked Wax copiers out there, but I mean, that's who we go with. That's who I put in the box. I mean, we were the first ones to go with Wicked Wax. And then Winkler came out. He come on board and he came out with his knife like a couple months before I was like, fuck, but it's all good. But that's his company, Winkler and us and a bunch of other folks. I mean, that's they put their stuff on their blades and in their boxes for a reason because it works. So
okay, let's talk about FOBOS Knives. So give us a background. You are a special forces guy. You served in many places in the world.
Yep.
You used edged weapons. You got fascinated with edged weapons and decided you wanted to make your own because of your own special forces activities. And you finally did, and people liked it, and you made more, and it caught on. But fill us in on this whole thing.
I joined the Army when I was 17. I was a kid. I walked in the team room door at 5th Group. I was 24 years old. I was still a kid. I was young, and I had a sergeant major say us one time that you can tell the measure of a good Green Beret by the knife that he carries. The measure of a man by the knife that he carries. What it is, and there was a kid at our regimental dinner who's one of the I know.
Never mind.
That's design.
Yeah. I knew I wouldn't make it.
Here we are at the regimental dinner, and one of the guys that's like, "Hey, Sergeant Major, what do you mean?" And he was like, "Son, if I got to tell you that, it says a lot already." And I understood what he was getting at. It's a piece of art. It's functional. It's something that works. It's something you need to be used every day. And it's something that you may need to use to save your life. It's got to be ready. You have to take care of it. I mean, there's just so many things that go into the true ownership of a knife. Is it, you know what I mean? And then that translates into how it's made for the customer. And if your customer is going to be that discerning, like, holy shit, there's a lot of stuff to live up to, you know what I mean? And so, my great grandfather, he started his own machining company and with the Vilbus, got a bunch of patents, and the company's still running in Toledo, a Swiss company. Our family doesn't own it anymore, but a Swiss company just bought it. They're going to make vacuum cleaners, or like industrial level vacuum cleaners. So the company's still there. But my dad ran the Dana heat treat and modernized it in the 70s and the 80s. For like 36 years. He worked for those guys. So it's just kind of that working with metal and steel and understanding and hearing about it and seeing my the men in my family, my dad, my grandfather, my great grandfather, etc. it just kind of translated into something that I knew and I understood, and I could draw. And as a kid, I would draw, and it was just one of them things that as I kind of grew and became a soldier, and then an NCO, and then went through selection and went to 5th Special Forces Group, and etc. And I was in search of a good knife, and at that time there really wasn't that much stuff that was, out there. And then we went through a road to Spain, like a lot of guys do at that time on Sicily. And we traveled up to Toledo, and I got a Spanish mule. It's more,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great blade, but I didn't know what steel it was, and I just really couldn't trust it, and it was sharp as fuck, and then I saw, Ray Ennis and Doug Stryker in Montauk, and I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? And I was really, and I had my own design in my head, and I just called Doug, and Ray, and I was like, hey man, can you guys make this? And he's like, yeah, sure. Okay. And so they kind of made my own design, for me. And then I was like, hey, Ray, there's this little one that I want to do. I want to do a smaller one. He's like, okay, but he wasn't fast enough. I was like, well, fuck, dude, I gotta, I'm leaving, I gotta. And so that just forced me to learn how to do it. It's like, okay, and then I was like, okay, so I made one, and it turned out all right, and then I a buddy of mine was like, hey bro, and so we made another one, and then that was a little bit better, and then it was like, hey dude, so where the fuck did you get it? So I, team room door, hey man, are you Eric? Is Eric here? I say, yeah, what's up? Hey bro, I saw such and such nice. Can you make me one? Yeah, sure, why not? Fuck it. And so then they told two, and and fucking here we are, 35 years later. So, what I mean? And I'm just a novice. I mean, honestly, I'm just a novice knife maker. I mean, there's dudes out there that they can, like watching Skittles and or standing next to Matt Martin and watching that motherfucker grind. There's some like Ray, Ray Ennis, that dude can grind. I mean, there's some dudes out there who can grind a knife, and I mean like lickety split, like holy shit, like that's fucking perfect. Holy shit, So I'm by no means. It's just philosophically, like I said, if your customer is that discerning, what is it? It forces you to kind of put that same applique to what it's supposed to be, and then that's and this is what they want. So that's their design or whatever. And all the dudes come to, hey man, can you do this? Can you do that? And I knew, talking to my dad, what's case hardening and what's through. And so I understood that kind of the process and how, and my dad was proud of what they were doing at the heat treat in Dana, and I knew it was like every time I saw a truck drive by or a semi truck, or, like every fucking transmission that made me on the road went through my father's heat treat, pretty much. Wow. And so, and not that he was the guy, but, he was, at that managerial level. And so, and what he wanted me to be a metallurgist. I was like, I don't even know what a metallurgist is, and I wish now that I would have, but I was a kid, I didn't, I wanted to be a soldier and do all that John Wayne shit, and that's what I did. And so, and then here it is. And now, he's nearing the end of his life, but he's like, he gave me a book that I read about particle metallurgy back in like 78.
Wow.
So book on powder metallurgy. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah. Like everybody thinks that Crucible started that shit. They didn't start that shit. You know, and I'm not bashing him, by any means, or Laren Thomas. I mean, Laren, that dude, he's out there. He's fucking, he's on. But so again,
Yeah, Laren is like.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good person. He's a really, really good dude too. Like I met him through BB,
Yeah.
and those guys. So I mean, we spoke, privately of a handful of times. Not that we're like friends, but he's kind of helped me out. I mean, I've had some questions.
He's got a lot. He's got a lot of knowledge.
Yeah,
he's
a metallurgist. He's a fucking doctor of metal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So but it just and so it's watching my dad, my grandfather's like, okay, there's a standard, and this part is important. And I think it's there's a lot of factors that go into what a knife is, the design and the geometry and whatever, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to how it's heat treated to perform within the certain task that you're trying to use it for, or the task of which it is designed. And so the heat treat is, again, that is incredibly important. And sometimes it's because it's so far beyond the drawing of what you have. And so far, it's like the last fucking thing that you think of, you know what I mean? But it should be the foundation of kind of where you start, at least that's where I'm at with it. And so, but in a nutshell, that's how it got started. So
Nice.
You do your own design work, right?
Yeah, nobody helps me. Like when I went and started with Mike, Stewart at Bark River. I mean, we were there from September 2017 until like August, almost a full year. And the very first conversation, I was leaving Blind Horse. John Kamenga introduced me to John and his wife over at the Blind Horse or Battle Horse, which I know that JT and her dad split, but anyway, so I was leaving those dudes, and because John wanted me to work with them, like at their little shop in Ohio, which him and John and his brother, and they're good dudes too, man. I mean, his wife and I didn't get along, but they're good people too, and it didn't really work out, so I was there maybe a week, right? And so I called JT and I said, hey man, and so he turns me on, he gives me Mike Stewart's number, and so I ended up calling Mike. And Mike was like, well, you send me, because I was in Ohio McDonald's and I was ready to head home. and so I called JT, or not JT, but LT Wright. I call LT and I said, hey man, this is where I'm at. What should I do? And so he said, well, go, talk to Mike Stewart. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
Right. And so, so I call him on the phone. I just cold call him. I said, hey man. And, I said, hey, and he says, well, send me some photos and blah, blah, blah. And I've been trying to break into the industry for like fucking 2 or 3, like seriously trying to break into it, like for several years. We'll just put it that way, several years. And no one would answer the phone. No one would return a phone call, answer an email. A secretary would be like, oh, they love them. They just love the designs. Oh, no. They've seen them. And I'm like, yeah, and nothing. Nada. Not a fucking nothing. And so I was literally packing. I call Mike on the phone. He goes, send me some pictures, shoot me an email, blah, blah, blah. And we'll get back. And he was very, very like, dude, I'm busy. Just like LT. Like LT's busy, right? and so I'm folding up my laptop and I'm getting ready. I'm calling my wife and I said, hey, I'm on my way. Blah blah blah. I get in the car and I'm at the first stoplight. I'm getting ready to turn off towards the interstate, and bring, my phone rings, and it's Mike Stewart. He's like, hey, bro. I'm like, what's up? What's up? He goes, we need to chat. He says, so I pull over on the on ramp, which I had to back down off of, right? And so I pull over. And he's like, hey, dude, when can you come up here? And I'm like, well, fuck. I mean, I'll turn north right now and fucking come up. I said, I just got to get off this off ramp, right? And or the on ramp. And he's like, okay. Well, then he starts, well, if we're gonna do a design with you or this, that, and the other, we'll own it. And I was like, no, stop. I said, dude, nobody. That's my blade. And he goes, well, I said, okay, let me be absolutely crystal clear. There is no, this relationship is over if that's the way, if you're gonna try to force that down my throat. I said, nobody, this is my design. I'm not, I said, he goes, okay, we'll figure it out. I said, Mike, no. There's nothing to figure out. Either it works for you right now and I'll drive up there, or it don't and I'm going to fuck home. He's like, all right, come on up. I was like, okay, squared away. So I called my wife on the phone. I said, hey, man. I said, hey, babe, headed north. See you in a couple days. Right? And so a year later, we did the MKB with them. We did 2 Legions with them. We did the mini, 2 minis. So, of course, most people know the story. There's a lot more involved in it, and we did not part on good ways, but it is what it is. I mean, I met Jim and Skittles, and they taught me how to convex. I never convex a knife before. Ray never convex a knife. He just hollow grind everything. So and Doug, but so I learned how to convex there. I learned about the process. I'm grateful to my experience there with us, to a certain extent. But not this like Peter Kohler, and I know some of them dudes they've they didn't come out of that experience with those guys with all their designs, and I made it no, this is mine. So and the reason I try to do that is, or wanted to do that, is because it's yours. No one can ever say that it's not yours. I mean, Ray, I think, or Lee's kind of, he's seen the computer. The Kamangas have seen the computer. They've seen, I've got several hundred designs in 30 or 40 folders that are very, I've had guys look at it, it's like, bro, none of these look like, you know what I mean? And so I think that's kind of my niche is exclusively what we're doing, like the pommel, like Doug. I called Doug on the phone. I said, Doug, I know you guys are using the pommel. I want to use the pommel. Doug's like, dude, I'm like, Doug's not even in striker. He's not even into knives. He's not into knives. He doesn't even do it. He's into marketing. He has a marketing company now. That's all he does. Right. And so I call him on the phone. I'm like, bro, I said, he's like, dude, it's yours. Absolutely. 100%. I was like, okay, cool.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. I was like, all right, awesome. And so you can look at one of my knives and know almost instantly that that's a Phobos. You know
it's
what I mean?
Got your design language in it. That's
right.
Yeah, you have a design element there.
And
so, do you want me to show on my cell phone your folder knife, your folding knife?
You can show
Let me do that.
Yeah, go ahead. Or do you?
Eric,
Oh no, I was just jazzing you.
Well,
I was just
Eric, I
jazzing.
wanted to ask you
yeah, go ahead, guys.
as far as when you designed your knives, your military experience, did that bring certain things that you put into your knives every time or certain
Yeah,
times?
yeah, correct. So I try. A handful of folks say, "Hey, where do you start?" Like earlier we were talking about. Okay, I kind of understand what I want to do with a heat treat. Boom. And you have the way you cook your CPM this or your CPM that or your whatever, right? But the handle ergonomics is as much as my hand is different from Lee's hand or Leong's hand or Wes your hand or whatever or even some of the girls in the agency, they're smaller, more petite. As much as they're different, they're identical. I mean, if you really look at it, they're within a certain range of geometry, it's identical. And so there's a reason why I don't put multiple finger choils in, so you can slide your hand up and down the blade, so you can transition from
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, right. And there's why, like,
And you got one,
on
and
the
the rest of them go. Yeah.
like on the Alaris, there's a certain reason why I bring the presentation of the blade of the spine down. So when you are in reverse, I can naturally use it without stabbing, and so there's a reason why I like the blade below your hand, or the fingers, or the first curl in your finger in your finger line. There's a reason why I grab and grip the blade across your callus line, not along your callus line. And so, like, in my very, and I've said this on video before, when I did the knife ship free for Derek before he passed away. There's, when I first got to a team, we did some training, and it was, you're on your stomach, so you're in the prone, and you have to draw your knife, and the positions that was in your sheath, wherever you decided to put it, was in your hand or was somewhere out on the floor, and you had to grip it, and so you had to be able to maneuver the knife, and then you be on your back, in the supine, in that prone position, on your back, and that taught me, because some guys had these big ass fat fucking dick handles, on their knife, or their custom Bowie or whatever. I mean, because a lot of that's, the Randall or whatever it was, but that didn't really lend itself for you to strike. And so even as big as this handle is, I mean, I can transition it down, and I can still punch you now. And now I got to have a 90-degree. If you can see it, I got a 90. It's 90 degrees, so I can still strike you in a reverse grip if I had to, and not subluxate or dislocate or break my fingers. And so it was just the experience of training with a knife. Not because I'm not a huge collie guy. Like right now, we're working with Doug Markita and doing some karambits and some stuff, with him, and that dude is, because he's got so much knowledge and so much practical experience that just come out, and so I'm not even going to try to approach. Okay, that's what you do. This is what I this is what I do. Yeah, you know what I mean. And
Well, Eric, how about like the thickness of the blade and the tip?
yeah,
Was that something with you too?
well, and it was, I like a thicker stock,
Hmm.
and it's you know, there's guys out there say, okay, well, you can get it so thick, but as you sharpen it, now it's just going to turn into this blunt. But that takes a very, very long time if you're not reprofiling your blade every time you sharpen it. If you just continue to hone it, or you don't let it get out of profile, right? You don't really need to sharpen it. And it's, I mean, I've only gotten a few blades back ever out of the what thousands that we've done, that has been like, dude, what the fuck what'd you do? Use this? What'd you do? Try to sharpen it with a chainsaw? I mean, goddamn, you know. And so, but this, that weight within reason, right? If you want a fighting blade, yeah, you want it as light as possible. And yes, we skeletonize some of our scales, and we skeletonize now. But that weight of having that feel in your hand is, I think, because proprioception is a thing, you know, like graphesthesia. You know, you write an O or you write an A, or in your hand somewhere, or write the numbers, and I'll tell you what the numbers are. You write it in your hand. And proprioception is, you know, when you know, where we learn to shoot, that's one of the things that they taught, is you understand where your body is in relation to the ground. And then, you know, I'm not talking about proprioception of how you when you tumble. I mean, that's part of it, but it's like, okay, knowing what's in your hand and where that is in relation to, because like when we would shoot, you'd be standing there and you have the pistol on your abdomen, and you're shooting a 25-meter target. Bang, 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 boom, bang, bang, you know, ding, 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 ding. And so you learn through that depth perception, proprioception, of understanding where your body is and how it's, you know, that all comes into play, and that comes into the grip and the handle of your knife. And we talk about it a lot. I've spoke about it with a lot of different folks, you know, because I've had some guys tell me, that's bullshit. No, it's not. It's not bullshit. And it's just part of why I do it, you know, the way I do it. You know, like even the jimping, you know, some guys hate it. It's like, okay, but have you ever handled the way I do it, the way I melt it all down? And then they do handle it. You know, I've had some guys, they won't even review my knives. Oh, dude, it's a fucking jimp machine. And you just hear them, you know, it's like, okay, and they won't even touch it. There's a few of them out there. It's like, what? You know,
it's a what machine?
They call it a gym. The one dude called it a gym because it's got jimping all over it. And I was like, it does.
Oh, you're talking about jimping,
right? And
jimping. But that's not overly done.
And at the end of the day, if you will, if I can have one thing during a knockdown drag out, whether that's with a cougar on my mountain bike, or a bear that comes out, you know, ends up coming down, you know, comes out of the creek, comes across, you know, and then it ends up coming right across the water at me, you know, or a human being that comes out of a dark corner, you know, when I enter a room, and that's all, and he's knocked my weapon out of my hand, you know, or like it just, if you can have that thing that helps you hold it in there during that knockdown drag out, why not? Absolutely, why not?
Yeah.
And you know, and I get it. I mean, if you're in camp, I mean, I've been to SEER school, you know, and you got to build, you know, so you may be using your knife literally 5, 6, 7 hours a day for the first 3 or 4 days while you're kind of setting up your fishing nets, or your traps, or your squirrel traps, or your, you know, whatever, or your lean-to, or whatever shelter you're going to be, you know, kind of, you know, whatever it may be, for the first 3 or 4 days that you're in there trying to survive at that location, you may use your knife. And I don't want it to dig up your hands. I don't want it to dig up my hands. And I may or may not have gloves. I may only, you know, I may wear out my gloves. I may wherever, you know, but but you still may have to use that knife to defend your fucking self with, you know. So that's why I put all that stuff in there.
Nice.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
I wanted to hear that perspective, that
Yeah.
based on what you'd done and everything.
Yeah.
I had my buddy down here. He served in Vietnam, and he had the K bar and all that, and he actually gave me the kind of honor of cleaning it one time. He hadn't cleaned it since Vietnam, and this was like 10 years ago, and I got to wipe down his. I took dirt off from Vietnam. It was an amazing shape, but it was funny because I go, well, what'd you use that for? He goes, opening cans and digging.
And I say that too. As you ask most guys what they've ever dug with their knife, or most infantrymen, and they'll tell you, yeah. So probably self-defense is more than likely the last thing that you will ever
that's what he's saying. Holy crow! If you get there,
but if you get there, right, exactly. It's. I mean, I've had it said to me, and I've experienced it myself, and I've said it on camera before. If you're in the fucking food chain, dude, when you're out there in wherever it may be, whether it's human beings or you are in the fucking food chain. I've been on patrol and in MVGs and had lions and hyenas. I mean, 35 feet of a rush that you could not stop. Boom, and they're fucking on you. Boom, if they chose. But it's that whole. I got the balls. Because they don't know who you are. They know you're a human being. They don't know who you are. They just know this motherfucker got balls. They just walked right fucking through us. Holy shit. You know what I mean? And it's like if you ever been in the woods with a moose and he's doing this.
Yeah.
He's stepping to you every time and he's leaning that back and forth. Right? And you're like, okay, it is time to leave. Because that moose is going to run you down, and then he's going to hit you with them fucking horns, and then you're going to stomp the dog shit out of you, and you're going to be dead. It's time to go away. You're not going to fight a moose off with your knife. It's time to leave. He's telling it literally. I mean, I'm sure there's got to be video out there of a moose doing this with you. Okay, bye-bye. Right? And so, of course, if you can avoid anything, but a lot of times, like I said, you're in the food chain.
Yeah.
You never know what you're gonna. Ask me how I know. Okay, I'm pissing my pants. Like fucking leave, run away. And so, but anyhow, that's just a philosophy, and it's because I've been there. I've literally fucking been there. Close quarters, running smack face into a dude in inside of a dark building. Boom. Fuck.
Oh.
An
unfriendly person.
Oh yeah, not. And so, or you're just two or three of us go into a room and and you shoot a dude 10, 14, 15, 16 times in the chest, they still run across the room. They're dead. They'll die minutes later, but they still make it across the room. So it's just, you just never, I remember the first dude I shot with IR, infrared. And it was just because your MBG, you only see it came. He was like, holy shit, boom. I didn't even bring my rifle up. I 50-50 to like, boom, and because he scared the shit out of me so fucking bad, right? And it's like, boom, and I 50-50 put my laser on him and let him have it, But anyway, because you never know. It's like, fuck. Yeah. It's just, I mean, and I've been like, fuck, like, what I mean, where you just like momentarily shit your pants, So that's what it is. It's cool.
I'll
it's
take this with me.
Yeah, the BC, like a bunch.
That's right. That's right.
Guys in Ukraine, Germans, guys that are that are doing some work, and some other dudes that are that knife right now is in Israel, has been to Rafah, has been to fucking, and so to know that the guys that are doing it, for real, like currently doing it for real, and that they're calling Sean, or they're emailing me, or or they're saying, hey, and they're, hey bro, send me one of these, or hey dude, I got a couple guys, or send me 3 of these or whatever. It's like, okay. That
says a lot.
Yeah, it does. That for me is proof, positive that we're doing it. We're doing it right. So
Yeah.
That
Oh,
sounds.
I can imagine.
what do you guys, this folder that we're coming out with, what are your thoughts on in the
You want to
state?
see it?
Yeah, show it to him, man.
Yeah, I got to see it.
Who's making
Show it
it?
to me, baby.
That's the question. Is we've talked to Best Tech. Some of our guys want to go to Riyadh.
Well,
Like-
I use Riyadh pretty much exclusively for everything, and I also work with White
What do you
River
think
Knife
about
and
that?
Tool.
You work with who?
White River Knife and Tool, the Comengas.
Yeah, that's that's our OEM, or our main.
That's it. I mean, but that looks a little bit like Phobos, doesn't it? That's got your design language in it, but it's a good looking knife.
They make the Riyadh, I would think, has the most solid reputation, but
Yeah.
it really it really determined on, like, for you, like who can give you the timeline and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you want to have it come out,
Well, and that's kind of, we started the very beginning of this year with Best Tech. Yeah. So I'm just undecided if we go overseas or not, and then getting
Overseas, yeah.
Well,
But
honestly, Best Tech.
Bob,
Check this out. Here's where I'm at with it. I think Luvthemknives and Best Tech have the absolute best reputation.
This is fully contoured titanium.
Yeah, there is no one, and this may hurt some dudes in the States. It may hurt their feelings. I don't believe that there's anybody in the United States that can top what Riyadh or Best Tech does. They can't.
Right. I mean, I shipped them this Magna Cut like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and they are the premier folder makers on the fucking planet, hands down.
Yeah.
And Kombu, like with Best Tech Kombu and their BT.
Oh God.
That dude, he designs
Great
for them.
designer. Don't you like Greg?
Yeah, but Best Tech saw, they were like, hey, do you need Kombu to do anything? Nope. Love his stuff, but don't need it. And so Lee's seen the entire folder, like part, he's seen it. So it's not
Yeah.
and it's not that I'm hiding anything now. It's just but
Well, I don't care.
I don't. Well, no, I'm just saying going to China. So, or going, or
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, I had a buddy that is an American knife maker, and I'm not going to say his name, but he has also done his designs through Concept and stuff. But he started his own company, and I don't want to say the name of the brand, but he had a backer that had a lot of money, and he wanted them made in the U.S., right? So he went, and I'm not going to say the name of the companies that he went to try and get OEM. And they basically just threw out a million excuses why they couldn't. Like, it's going to be 3 years before we can touch it. Oh, and then, you know what? You're really not that big a name in the industry, so screw you. And this, and then the price per knife, and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And he goes, they forced me.
Yeah,
they forced me overseas.
That's just that is an absolutely real non-bullshit scenario, is to have, they want an arm and a leg. It's it's not going to be what Rio or Best Tech can make.
No.
And their timeline is going to suck.
Yeah. And everybody will have moved on to some other kind of thing.
Exactly.
So,
and I totally, that's kind of the dilemma now is because we've had our fair share of woes with the distributors or OEMing with folks and wanting them to partner with you, and I'm not talking about White River. The Kamangas have been those dudes are legit.
They're solid people. They're solid people.
They're legit for sure. But it is an absolute Shark Tank. Like our legal support guys out of Nashville, they were just dumbfounded that no one will sign a fucking contract. He's like,
they'll be bound to it.
Yeah, I know, and you know who signed an NDA with us? Best Tech did.
Wow.
No problem. No, not a blink. I mean,
Eric, like
day they had.
I've been working with Riyadh for 10 years, and I've worked with them exclusively.
Yeah,
and in the 10 years, there have been other OEMs that have approached me, and they've said like things about like, hey, we could give you a better price, give us a try, whatever. But for me, it's not always about the price, because the last thing I want to do is have to check through several hundred pieces to make sure like they're all like 98% the same, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing was, before I started React, I spent about a decade before then trying to find manufacturer in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these guys were my friends. Well, you know what? They weren't working out at all.
Yeah.
And it was like, I even had them spent like the pieces cut out. Back then I was just doing like collaborations with like custom knife makers, because I don't make the knives myself. And so after the parts were CNC'd and cut out and, supposedly might for all the measures and everything, they sent them to the knife maker. The knife maker calls me up. They're like, who cut these parts out?
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy. He's like, how come the blade is, and I only do folders most of the time, how come the blade is an inch longer than the handle? How does that work? And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So, it's just like, you go into all these headaches, but then eventually you find out like how much time you have lost.
Yeah, and right, exactly, and that's kind of been the struggle of, because I've had customers that say, Eric, you cannot go overseas, and and even part of the distribution part was, hey, dude, you need to stay here, whatever, and so now we're kind of, I brought Sean in, he's out of South Africa. He used to work with Glock, back in the day. He's and we're looking at a couple of or I'll just that we're talking to a couple of folks about being a financial partner. I mean, I got one part. I'm being sued. you know what I mean. And just people just don't understand all the bullshit that's going on out there. I'm literally, I'm. It's just like, okay, really, and so it's not a cookie cutter. I mean, it's not. It's just not this. It's not. And then you have these guys, and then they fuck it up, and like you're saying, your friends, and maybe, and I'm being a bit presumptuous here, so they fuck it up for you, and they expect you to foot the bill.
Yep, and they still want to be friends,
right?
After they know you fucked up, after they know they fucked up.
Exactly. It's like, okay, how do you want me to foot? And so now, and it's like, bro, now you're fucking with my family.
I mean, the thing is, the one thing is always be honest with your customers. Your customers will make the choice, right?
Right.
And when I transitioned from custom collaborations, where a custom knife maker made everything, and there were issues there too with ownership of design, right?
Yeah.
Like custom knife makers start going around saying that it was their design because they built it.
That's why I don't like. There's been some controversy with the leather and with. Well, we'll just leave it at that because I've never had anybody say, "Hey, that's my blade," because it's not for sure, absolutely right. That's that level. But everybody's upfront right away, and it's absolutely clear, and that's what I've learned, and that takes time, and it pisses fucking people off. Like I had an order with my Whitefish and my El Patagonias with someone that the blades. They wanted to partner with me and I said no, and they chucked my shit up on a shelf. And 6 years later, I literally just 4 or 5 months ago was able to buy the blades back.
Wow.
Because I would not surrender the design. Because if you abandon the design, then that manufacturer, to recoup their cost, they can finish it and now it becomes theirs and then they can sell it. Like I said, I am in the process right now of speaking with 2 different individuals about moving forward. And one of those individuals is overseas. So, and it's because of all the bullshit in the industry here. I'm not saying that they don't make that the American can't make a great blade. It can. He does. She and him, they do. But it is what most people and I know you can attest to it, or if again, not being presumptuous, but other than the big guys making 500,000 or something a month, and the several families that own all of that leaves a shark tank of bullshit underneath on the underbelly of our industry. And I know guys will be, they'll you watch them in the comments, the guys who are the makers, they know the deal. And so, and I've had Blue Ridge say, hey, Eric, as soon as you can start, get big enough or more or popular enough, you can start calling your own shots. And it's like, it's like the music industry. How many times you heard of a band get fucked? They get Bostoned by the goddamn management of a company, and you know what I mean. And that's out there every single day.
Yep.
And it's fucking tough to make the jump from the garage, which we're doing, to doing your own thing, and it's hard to do.
Yep.
And because there's a lot of money involved. The machines are expensive. The machines that do folders and do them well are fucking really expensive. Those are $1 million machines. And
the technical skill, the knowledge to run those machines, and then just the fit and finish.
Yep.
You don't see that I hate to say it, in a lot of the knives here in this price point at all. No. You have to pay 2-3 times the price to be able to get close to it.
Yep. That's and the way you're right. I agree with you. Kind of, and the way that we do our folders, or excuse me, my fixed blades, is I try as close to we can, essentially, to do it almost with folder standards. I mean, if you look at, I don't offset our handles, our scales, and we do a lot. I scallop. Not only do we machine and we machine the scales, but we scallop the scales. That's hard to do. We Persian swedge, and I don't put, like Jim, over at Hogue, those guys, great dude, good fucking dude, and Elijah Witz, but I don't even Persian swedge the way they do it. We do that completely. We enter at one angle and rotate through and come out. And there's an entrance angle and an exit angle. and it's fucking hard. It's hard to do it by hand when you're putting it in there by a file, let alone do it with a machine. And everybody thinks it's easy. It's not. And it's, and so I get it. And I've learned to use my own design program, I've learned. I was self-taught on the design program. I was self-taught on the CAD. I draw, and that's something that's changed the game for me as far as doing drawings is doing it in the digital spectrum is drawing it that way. I can save it, move it 1/8 of an inch, 16th of an inch, tweak it, save it, move it, do what I need to do it, move it around, compare them. That sucks. That was my original. Okay, now we're here, and then I can tweak it, do whatever, and then grow it, and that's where that is. I mean, I've gone from 70 original designs to well over 200 designs.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so, and that's absolutely changed the game for us is being able to draw in a program that's translatable to 3D, from 2D to 3D in the digital space. And that's, it's just brought it to a whole new another level. And then it's changed. Like we were thinking that we were going to make this current folder, Lee, that we're doing now, with a certain OEM and not White River, but not that it wouldn't be them, but I'm saying we were going to let them do the fixed blades and do the folders with some other folks. And they came back and they said, dude, your CAD's not good enough. I'm like, what? And he's like, your CAD's not good enough. I said, dude, we just fucking prototyped the motherfucker. I mean, what do you mean it's not good enough? It's fucking perfect. It's not good enough. And so we waited 6 months. And what it was is they do, and this was, I got a feeling, I smelled the fish. This is, again, going back to the stuff. Great dudes, love them. Personally, fucking dig them. But, and I told our other guy, Sean, I was like, it's sums up. 6 months later, dude, they don't want to do it. They're making other stuff. They're doing it again. They let us on. And then at the end of the day, again, it goes right back to here's another fucking American. And I was stoked to work with them. No, not going to happen now. So here we are. It's well over 7 months now of him. It's like, and you know what? At the end of the day, you're not on their bottom line. And they don't give a fuck. They don't fucking care. And so now it's like, fuck, we just wasted half a year with you. Half a fucking year. And what's really fucked up is I can send this design to, I'll bet you in 30 days, I'll send this design to Best Tech. In 30 days, they'll have us a fucking working prototype.
I'll be back.
Same fucking CAD, and Ashley, like what he was saying, he wants me to go to Rio. Am I pronouncing it correct? Is it right or Rio?
It's Riyadh, and there is another company called Right.
Right. Okay, but I'm talking
right.
R-E-A-T-E. So it's basically create without the C on it.
Okay. Riyadh. Okay. Now I got it. I got it. It's in my head now. And
the thing is, so I bump into this time and time again. And I went into machine shops in Pennsylvania and other places. Nobody is really going to work on knives because it's not the biggest money. They'll rather make a machine part for an airline company or machine part for the oil fields or the petroleum industry or the gas fields, because that's where the most money is coming from.
Right. That's why you're right. And a lot of machinists, like there was a dude locally here that I was talking to for a long time. He loved the stuff. He wanted to do it, but they won't even, like automotive parts. They won't even touch the automotive industry because there's no margin. And so, and that even Kevin Fournier, the guy who I literally just bought my fucking the knives back from the fucking dude. He's like, dude, why should I do this when I can take a chunk of aluminum for fucking a few dollars, literally, throw it in the machine and chuck it in the tumbler and make $80. And I can do 6,000 of those a month. Why the fuck do I need to make a knife? You're right.
And I hear you on the. I'm sure there's a lot of guys who tell you like, hey, you can't go overseas.
Yeah.
But really, you could explain it to your customers, and those who will give you a shot will give you a shot. Those who don't, and they make their choice. Yeah.
Just gotta tell the customer what you're doing.
Yeah. I'm not. There's no reason to hide anything, because most of the guys, like other than really the Facebook community, aren't really, they don't care,
right?
Whether it's made in the U.S.
And most of the customers, especially my customers, they're highly intelligent, and they would be able to spot what is what in terms of especially a folding knife and the quality, right?
Yeah.
And they'll know like, this is too perfect to be built from here.
Obviously,
kind of
your customers are highly intelligent. I mean, look at me.
Yeah. Well,
I'm a genius.
Like, I can't. Like at Blade in Atlanta, we met with I met with an old a guy I had a relationship in the past. Just leave it at that, because he had someone OEM some stuff for him, and he was not happy. And I told him, I said, bro, that is exactly why I did not go. And this is why we're more than likely going to go either here or here. And where you're at now with RIT, and with Best Tech, like Eric Barber, Eric from Outer Limitless, he turned me on to Best Tech and essentially got us in there right away. But everybody from Jason Toon to even our, a couple of our guys have either said go with BT or go with where you're at, and that you can't go wrong. I mean, I've talked to some other folks that him and his wife, Joe, someone, because I don't want to speak openly for the dude. That's not really fair. But he's like, dude, I tried all that shit in the United States. I tried it all in the United States. I played by their rules. I tried to, but no one plays nice. No one. They want you to pay retail. They're not going to fucking. It's not going to be as, So I went over here. It was fast. It was right. It was on the money. Boom. It was distributed. We sold it. Wow. My wife was like, why didn't we go there first? Why the fuck you been fucking with these idiots for 10 years? And so, and I'm not at 10 years where you're at, but 2015, we're close.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted Leon and Eric together, because you guys have experiences with OEMing knives as designers, trying to bring them out into the public and trying to figure out what's my best way to get a good quality product into the market in a timely basis at a decent price for consumers.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, we're not. I mean, if we do that, and if it's with product or the product is made with or is globally sourced, because that's the business way to say it, I guess. But that's not going to be hidden from the customer for sure.
I mean, I'm here to serve my customers. I'm sure that's the reason why you're here. And in the 10 years that I've had folders built with Riyadh, do you know how many have come back to me in terms of like, they just needed like hardware switched out?
Yeah,
it's probably a dozen.
Yeah.
In all 10 years.
Yeah.
And I usually because they over mangled the hardware and they need to send it to me, or sometimes I just send them hardware and they can take it out themselves.
Yeah.
But really, it's like something I like to do. I like to see like the knives that I've sent out years ago.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys, they don't go abusing the knife. They just take care of it. They just use it to cut what they need to cut. They don't go use it as a pry bar or something. These are not your knives, okay? These are more like my knives are more like user gentleman focus, right?
Yeah.
And it's just great to see like, hey, this guy appreciated it so much to use this tool and take care of it for all these years.
Yeah.
It's like the most profound privilege of being in this business, and that's why I enjoy it so much. And I keep like, whenever someone messages me, sometimes they might send me like 5 emails at a time and they're like, hey, I'm so sorry to keep bothering you. I'm like, don't worry about that. I actually enjoy listening hearing from you,
Yep.
Just to see how they're doing with their knives.
Yeah. And I mean, I think out of the fixed blades where we've had problems, it's either been with someone else's heat treat or someone had part of the process that I did not completely endorse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and the reason I say it that way is because, and that's kind of where I was with the Kamengas. I was like, no, this is not. We weren't again in our rush to our death. And they listened to me.
Yeah.
They heard what I had to say because my brand is their brand, and their name is my name, and et cetera. And it transcends back and forth from both of us.
Right.
And out of that, but because I've had guys, come back. Well, this shouldn't do this, or this shouldn't. It's because out of the thousands of knives now, I think 4 have come back with 5 edges on them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And one of those was like legit. Fuck, bro. Here's a new one. I cannot explain. Another one was here's a new one. Not really sure. Whatever. And then the other 2, which I did absolutely replace anyway, under microscope, were like, dude, what you're telling me and what I'm seeing are 2 different things. Like I've got 2 knives from you now, and they are identical indentation marks where you were beating the fuck out of this knife and did not realize that you were hitting either but here are 6 deformations on this edge that are identical. And so, and what you're telling me you did with it is not so first off, you're being disingenuous. So, because I'm telling you here, out of this is on this steel, this is the only, et cetera, et cetera. And like even the tier 1 BC that we did I wanted to go to 62, and John was like, hey, look, and he talked me out of it. We talked back and forth, talked to Laren. We went to 61, 60, 62, but there was 2 knives that on just normal testing them out, Philly DC is we sent them to him for an objective guy to test it. Because a lot of the admins, there's Eric, you should be out there testing. No, I should not be, because then it's here's the product, and here is like Lee went and tested the hardness, tested the steel, let someone who is outside of our circle objectively, who has a reputation of success, do it. And then that way there's no way that anybody can say, well, you doctored or you didn't put yourself through the murder board that it should have been, right? So no one can say that. and so what Phil came back with was these little microchips on the edge of the Tier 1 BC on the Magna Cut. And he's like, Eric. And another tester, same thing, not as bad on and I was like, okay, now we got two knives out, two different testing out. Now they do know each other, and they were talking. And I said, well, is it not the microchipping, is it the fuck when the scale what's the company that says they're the scales or the steel or decarbonates? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, my bad. So the decarbonization of the steel. I said, because that can happen with any steel, right? And usually that'll go down maybe one or two molecules, right? And then you'll get down to the hardness that it should be if it's demarcated, right, or decarbonized. And because at first he was like, well, did they overheat the edge? I said, no, not what we're doing on the belt with a mister with water. There's no way we're overheating. It's not going to happen. That's just not. I'm not gonna. No, it's just not. That's not it. Could it be? Yeah, possibly, but maybe someone wasn't using the mister. Maybe, but anyway, and so we're grinding them wet, right? And he says, and this is what he tells me. And because I asked the other guy, I said, well, have you had this happen before? Because Gabriel was like, yeah, I've tested a handful of Magna Cut, and almost half of them did the same shit. And I said, well, okay, maybe we are decarbing on the edge. And how did you fix it? Because I know, because I already, in my head, when you decarbon steel or decarbons, all you got to do is go down one or two molecules, and you should be good, right? And that's what they did. I said, sharpen it twice. Maybe you can do it once. Sharpen it, resharpen that blade twice, and then tell me then redo your entire process. Because I told them, I said, look, what I want you to do is I want you to try to chip your blade, chip out antler, chip aluminum block, cut, baton through bovine, through a cow femur. Well, where the fuck do I get a cow femur? I don't know. Go to the fucking go to the meat farm. Dude. If you need me to send you one, I will. He's like, okay, I got it. I said, dude, aren't you in like Montana? He goes, yeah. I said, really? You're asking me where you get a cow femur? I'm like, come on, man, you're killing me, Smalls. And so, and so both of them, they resharpened. Gabriel resharpened his once, and Phil. He says, I don't know if I had to, but I just did it twice just to be sure. And the video that Phil is chopping the aluminum block with is that BC. So he had two sharpenings with it, and then he was chopping aluminum block with it, and no deformation on his Magna Cut. And so it's just is what's the company that's claiming all the decarbonization? I'm not saying they're wrong, but but those are the only two, and we did 1,140 knives, 1,100 BCs, 1,140 of those motherfuckers, and two of them have had problems on the edge. And then Jacob Peterson, who does the Preppers Bunker or whatever, Preppers Bunker, he's like, Eric, he goes, what do you? I said, dude, you do try to break that motherfucker, and you can see him with his BC. It's literally, bing, it's popping that shit. So the Persian swag it's working on camera. Right, and he doesn't buzz. He doesn't chip the tip, nothing. So all I can say is is the whole, and that's what, and where I'm going with all that is you got a problem as a customer, come to us, because I'm not hiding shit from you. And the reason I'm not going to hide shit is because there's dudes from tier 1 units, there's Dev, SEALs, Green Berets, dudes in Israel right now, dudes all over, in the Ukraine, dudes who are doing this shit for real every single night are using our stuff. And I have to be able to say that it's going to fucking stand up to the test. Whatever it is that you dish it out, and if you snap it off, dude, send me the handle and I'll fucking send you a new one. So, and out of everything that I've ever made, out of the thousands of knives, I've had one. And I was literally, it was pounding it with a fucking sledge, with a fucking an 8-pound sledge, bam, 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 through some fucking knotted cherry, and it was like, bam, and it snapped, and I snapped it. But I had beat it. I beat that thing. It was stuck, and I never thought I was going to snap it. I was just like fucking smack, 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 and pow, and it went. It made this funky ting one time. I was like, man, what was that noise? But I was already coming down on the next schwacka and schwacked it right in half. Pow, and it broke clean. You know what I mean. And so it's like, that's it. That's if guys are going to ask for it and you're going to say it can do it, it better fucking do it. That's all I can say to you. And that's where we're at, I think.
Yep. Exactly.
So.
All right. I think I need to wrap it up.
All right, bro.
So, guys.
The hurricane. I mean, my neighbor's house just flew by my window, so I think we need that.
All right, bro.
And he was holding on to the shingles.
I'm gonna ask Lee for your phone number, Eric.
Dude, yeah, let's chat. If you guys want to do this again, then sure. I mean,
I'll make sure that we have 5 hours of free time, because I know you're gonna talk to my ear off or something.
We're all gonna go to Tennessee, and we're gonna be in this bunker.
Right.
We're all gonna sit in the bunker with flashlights and shit.
I'm
I
already
might be
in
on my
Tennessee.
way, because after I come back from Blade West next week, the following week I'm going to be in Georgia for a few days.
Yeah.
So I might drive through there and
There you go.
Dude, guys, it's been a pleasure. I mean, Wes, thank you. Long, Lee, you guys are fucking. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very, very much.
We're assholes. We're assholes. That's what.
Thank you, Eric. It's a pleasure to really get to meet you and really talk to you, and you sharing your insights and all the stuff that we have gone through that's so similar, right? So similar, but it's not. It's like,
Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we never did our giveaway or anything. We'll do that on the next one. We'll do it on the next one.
You know what you should do, Lee, to make people watch the whole 3.5 hours? You'll be like, we are going to have a giveaway, but I'm not telling you when it is. You have to watch the whole thing.
You have to watch the whole thing. And they'll go, you know what? You don't have enough money's worth of shit for me to watch 3.5 hours of your ass. Okay? I'll walk on it. Screw you.
So
what the hell? No, that'll be funny. No, but yeah, we will get it. We will get it. But we got all the Phobos you can rock and roll with.
The website, www.fobos.com. We've got the website is new. There's a new store is coming out on the website, the minis, and on the new store, all the knives will be there. And if you don't see something that you want, you can either hit Sean or myself up, so you can know. Sean is Sako, SAKO at phobos.com email, and mine is Eric with a K, ERIK at phobos.com. And you guys, you can either email me or Sean. Sean may get back to you more quickly because I mean, my wife's parents live with us now. We have cancers. My dad is terminal. I mean, we got a bunch of folks that we're taking care of. I mean, I got caregivers in and out of the house. I'm having another surgery on my shoulder. And or else I'd have been pumping all kinds of stuff this
So
year.
there's other people like DLT Trading and stuff that carry your FOBOS knives, right?
Right, but Jason, I don't know if he's rebuying the stuff out of. Talk to Sean first, guys.
Okay. So I'll put that information down below, and go ahead and email me all that, and I'll put the links down below in the description section for everybody to access. Okay.
Sean's email is seiko@phobos.com, and he'll get it that way because he and we talk every morning. And what I'll do is I'll run down to where all the knives are stacked up, and I'll pull shit, and then we'll ship it out. So that way you're going. If I don't answer you direct, but because of what's been going on, Sean's really kind of picked up the backside of the company. So, but it's good. Other than that,
thank you for giving us your time. And there it is with FOBOS. And can't keep the Alaris down, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you.
And everybody out there, thank you for hanging in there and watching our podcast. And you guys stay sharp.
Love them knives,
guys.
Yeah, you guys.